Hi everyone, welcome to Luis Cisneros YouTube channel, and today's Polymer Clay tutorial is about how to make an elf's face. Welcome to the second episode of the holiday editions making the elf. If you missed the first episode, please click here and direct you to the gift boxes tutorial. To make the elf, this is the material you're gonna need. You need wire, you need also Living Doll Sculpting Clay, you need Premo Basic Colors Sculpting Clay, and you need Premo Accents Sculpting. You need the sculpting tools and you need the proportional chart. You can download it on my website. Let's start by making the armature, and for this you're gonna require wire and also you're gonna require pliers. If you don't know how to make an armature, I'm showing you really fast in here, but if you need more explanation, watch my video how to make an armature. Here is the link. Now we're gonna start adding foiling to our armature in the face area, and this is to prevent the cracks that sometimes happens when the clay is too thick when we cure it. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna measure against the proportional chart to see how much foil we need, and then when we have the correct amount, we incorporate it into our armature. Now we're gonna make the eyes, and for this we're gonna need white clay to start, and we measure with the proportional chart. We create two identical white spheres. Then with the medium dotting tool, we're gonna press really careful without affecting our sphere shape, and we will make the mark. For the color of the eyes, we're gonna use the Premo Accents line, and this is because it has a metallic look and it looks really cool. We're gonna mix a little bit of the blue and green to make a darker green. Then we're gonna start mixing the blue with the red, and this is to create our base of the iris. A lot of people use black. I don't like that because it is too harsh. I prefer use brown, or depending on the contrast of the eye color, I prefer purple. Now that we have our colors, we're gonna start adding just a tiny sphere of the purple that we create, and then we're gonna flat with the dotting tool, and this is again our base. Then we add a smaller sphere of the green color, the dark green color, and we're gonna do exactly the same. We're gonna put it in the middle and then we will flat. If you need more information or more explanation about how to make the eyes, I have a tutorial specifically for this. So if you want to click in the link, you can watch it. The next color is the green, and this is the lighter green, and we're gonna create a smaller sphere, and we're gonna put it in the middle and press really careful. Then with the needle tool we're gonna start texturizing. Then the last step is gonna be the black color, so we create smaller spheres than the ones before, and we're gonna put it just in the middle really carefully, and we flat with our dotting tool. This is how it should look like, and we're gonna start using the Living Doll Sculpting. This is the first time that I try it, and I don't like the texture, to be honest with you. It's really gummy and really sticky and really soft. I don't like that. But after you bake it, is really cool effect, especially for the skin. So I encourage you to try it, and if not, if you don't like that, you can buy the Premo Beige color, and that will do. If not, you can also buy the Premo Beige color too, depending on what color you want to make your elf. So we start by incorporating the clay into the armature. We cover the entire full part that we had, and then we can start comparing with the proportional chart, and we create just the head part that is going to be in a sphere, and then the mouth part. So the upper face is going to be just a sphere, and the lower part is going to be like a rectangle. And then we keep adding a little bit of clay, and just reminder, this is going to be the base where we're going to add our eyes. If this is your first time making a face, I recommend you to watch my video tutorials how to make a face for one-of-a-kind toddler. Then after comparing to the proportional chart and make sure that you didn't exceed the base and you still have a space to add more clay, that keeping in mind that this is just like the skull, so in that way you can add the eyes, and then you will add more pieces of clay simulating the muscles and the skin. So then we're gonna draw the proportions into the face comparing to the proportional chart. So this is the way that you know where you can put the eyes and where you can put the rest of the clay. After marking down our eyes, we're gonna start adding the jaw and also the nose bridge. We exaggerate the marks for our eyes and then we put them on. We add the forehead, and also we will start adding the eyelids. So just be really careful without affecting your eyes. As you notice, we start shaping our eyes, and this is really a lot of work. So be really patient and use your needle tool and the dotting tool to create that, based on the proportional chart. Now we'll start blending all the clay together so we can incorporate it pretty well without leaving any marks. Try to not affect the eyes since you already shaped them. If that happens, reshape with the dotting tool. Then we're gonna start adding more clay, and this is just the muscles and the skin. So we're gonna just cover the part that we missed from the front, and then we're gonna add another layer that this is gonna be our forehead. So if you notice in the proportional chart, we actually have a huge forehead, and the reason why it's so pronounced is because we're talking about a baby toddler's face and they have it really pronounced. Then we're gonna start adding the nose, and this is gonna be just a triangle, and then we're gonna start shaping with the dotting tool. This is where you can customize your own elf and you can make different kind of noses. If you're not an expert, I would recommend just to follow the directions. I also have a tutorial that is specific for one kind of nose, but in the future I will post more different kind of noses. Then we'll start incorporating little by little more clay to create the shape of the face. This is where all the muscles and the skin are going to play. So be really careful to incorporate it and try to press really hard without affecting the shape, but mixing pretty well the clay so you don't leave any gaps. You can see I keep retouching the eyes, and this is because when I add some clay, sometimes I affect the eye, but it's pretty easy just to go back to the proportional chart and retouch those. Then we're gonna start creating the nasal cavities, and really careful with the needle tool, I create those. Then we create our mat by adding a piece of clay that is going to be for the two lips. I cut it in half and I create the upper lip, and then I add the second layer, creating the lower lip. I shape with the needle tool and just really careful and the size that I want. If you see, the proportional chart has really tiny lips, the same as tiny nose, but in this face I want a little bit bigger nose and bigger lips. And then we start adding our cheeks and our chin. As you can see, is all the pieces of clay that I add, and the way that I add it is so it is easy to blend and to create the shape of our cheeks. Also, these affect our eyes, and that's the reason I add pieces of clay. Then we just incorporate it pretty well with the needle tool and the dotting tool, and I start shaping the smile that I want my elf to have, and I just follow the proportional charts. In that way I can see how the lips stretch. And one of the last pieces, it is just to add the neck. So we just grab a piece of clay, we round it into the neck, and we start incorporating with the needle tool. Then if we follow the proportional chart, we're gonna add a piece of clay on the top of the head, and this is to make the head bigger on the top. Since our character is a toddler, typically they have a huge head. Then we're gonna start making our ears, and this is pretty cool, just to make sure that you need to create the two at the same time so they're proportionate and also they have the same shape. So to make it, I just follow the proportional chart and I just mark really basic shapes, so that way I don't go so much into detail, since I'm gonna stick it on the face, and since I'm gonna manipulate it, I'm gonna affect it anyways. So I recommend just to mark pretty basic, and then you can really go in detail when it's already on. Just mark the proportion before you decide to put it on. So I put it in the second mark, and then really carefully with the dotting tool I start adding on the front. And then just to stick it on, I create the ear cavity, and then I start detailing all the way around. I do exactly the same on the other side. When I finish, I can bake. And don't forget to follow the instructions on the package for baking. And as an extra, we're gonna make the hat. And this is the way that I do it. I just cover by pieces. It's really easy and simple. Don't worry to be really careful, since we're gonna put 4 on the top. So just make sure that you follow the hat line. Then I create a cone, and this is gonna be the end or the tail of our hat. I make them some curves, a little bit of playful, and I add it at the back. With the needle tool, I just clean the line of the hat, and then I add some texture. And for the fur, I just add a white cylinder around the hat, and I texturize with the needle tool. I am really careful between the ears, and on the top of the ear I add a little bit, so that way it looks like the ears are covering and affecting the hat. Then I add stitching marks on the way. I bake my piece, and I add my end of the hat a little bit of fur, and I bake it again. Thank you for watching this holiday series. If you have any comments or suggestions, post them below this video. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to like, and also to support this channel, don't forget to subscribe. Happy holidays!